So have you ever wondered why we never got a sequel to Goldeneye 007 for the Nintendo 64? Well, the answer is sort of interesting and sort of complicated. And it all starts with the development studio, Rare. Rare throughout the 80s and 90s developed tons of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo 64 games. Well, in the mid-90s, MGM hired Nintendo to develop a video game for Goldeneye, and Nintendo chose Rare to develop that game. That's when we got this. And as we all know, this was a massive success. So Rare started developing a sequel. Just one problem. MGM had different plans. They sold off the video game rights to the 007 franchise to Activision. What did that mean for the Goldeneye sequel that Rare was working on? It became a game called Perfect Dark. And Activision was left to take a stab at a 007 game, which wasn't very good. All the while, Rare continued to make awesome games, like Conker's Bad Fur Day, until the year 2002, when Microsoft swooped in and purchased Rare. That's right, Rare actually wasn't owned by Nintendo, and they sold everything to Microsoft and started making Xbox games, their very first, grabbed by the ghoulies. Now, at this point, a lot of developers left Rare and started a new studio called Free Radical. Free Radical would develop what would be the spiritual successor to Perfect Dark with the Time Splitters series. But Rare proper would continue making games for Xbox with stuff like Viva Pinata and even a sequel to Perfect Dark. But the question is, why don't we get a remake or a remaster of 007 Goldeneye? That's where it gets a little bit messy. You see, when Microsoft bought Rare, a lot of things came with that purchase. One of those things is the engine that these two games were built on. But Nintendo published Goldeneye, so Nintendo actually owns the rights to this game. But MGM actually owns the James Bond rights. Actually, now that I think about it, Amazon came along just a few years ago and bought the distribution rights to James Bond. So let's make that 4 different parties in the hat. So what happens when you try and remake 007 Goldeneye without this game engine? Well, you can ask Activision, because they tried to do it back in 2010 and it wasn't good. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it can't happen. In fact, Nintendo and Xbox have come to terms recently, because Goldeneye has appeared on both the Nintendo Virtual Console and Xbox Live Marketplace. All the while, Rare continues to develop games for the Xbox. You may know them from Sea of Thieves. And this tangled web of fuckery is why we will probably never get a proper Goldeneye 007 remake by Rare.